Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the baddest villain parent of them all? We've got some clues about the missing parents of the villain kids in the Disney Descendants movies. Watch until the end to find out which of the villain kids might actually be siblings.
See, I'm just trying to teach you the thing that really counts. How to be me.
The villains on the Isle of the Lost have certainly been busy since their banishment to that crowded chunk of land with no magic. In Descendants, they established that the villain kids Mal, Evie, Jay, and Carlos are the children of Maleficent, the evil queen, Jafar, and Cruella de Vil, respectively. We know that they didn't exactly have a flair for loving parenting. In fact, they're downright mean and selfish to their kids. Mal grows up being praised for things like backstabbing her best friends. Evie thinks she must flirt with and manipulate men to get what she wants. Jay is a thief, and Carlos has an irrational phobia of dogs. Not exactly the best marks of good parenting. In the first movie, the villain parents tried to manipulate the villain kids into stealing Fairy Godmother's wand so they could destroy the barrier around the Isle.
The barrier is broken! We're free!
Thankfully for Auradon, Mal and her friends chose to be good. Maleficent didn't take the news very well. She took advantage of a breach in the barrier and escaped to Auradon, where she terrified everyone when she turned into a dragon. Unfortunately for Maleficent, she was magically transformed into a tiny lizard. In fact, all 4 of the transferred villain kids stood up to their parents and decided to stay in Auradon. All the villain kids seem to be doing well without their parents. In fact, we haven't seen much of the villain parents since the first movie. But fans still have one major question about the villains on the Isle. Why are they all single parents? We've got some theories about the whereabouts of these missing parents. Mal's dad. Everyone is pretty sure that Hades is Mal's dad, but we won't know for sure until Descendants 3 comes out. In the novel The Isle of the Lost, Mal's father is mentioned a few times. One thing Maleficent says about Mal's dad is that he's a pathetic little human. That doesn't really match up with the theory that Mal's dad is Hades. Hades isn't human. He's the lord of the underworld. But was he once human before? Whatever happened, it's clear that it didn't work out between Mal's dad and Maleficent. So that means Mal's only real role model was an angry, bitter, magicless sorceress with a singular mission of revenge. It's a wonder Mal turned out decent at all. So what happened to split up Mal's parents? Maybe there's only room for one narcissistic, selfish, cruel parent in the family. Can you imagine an argument between Hades and Maleficent? If they had access to their magic, they would have made their castle explode in a fiery display of blue and purple flames. One thing is certain, all the fans are excited to see Mal's reunion with her long-lost father. But if it is Hades, will he be on Mal's side? Or is he the one draining her magic? From the latest Hades trailer that Disney released, it's clear that Hades has a score to settle. He's bitter that he has been exiled to live out his days.
To a crowded little island with no magic, no freedom, no hope.
He wants to make the king and queen of Auradon pay for what they've done. Since the king and queen are the parents of Mal's boyfriend, that would put him at odds with Mal. And we know from the mystery trailer that Mal is trying to get her hands on Hades' ember. So this may not be the happy father-daughter reunion we've all been waiting for. Evies Dad. We know that Grimhilde, aka the Evil Queen, is the most beautiful and cruel queen on the Isle. So who could Evie's dad possibly be? One fan believes it could be Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. When you think about it, that makes a lot of sense. He's vain like the Evil Queen. He wanted only the best, most beautiful woman in the land, but then Belle chose the Beast. Now, technically, Gaston fell off the castle at the end of Beauty and the Beast, but did he really meet his demise? According to the actor who voiced the character, the answer is no. In an interview, he shared that he is 100% certain that Gaston just had a bad fall. He thinks Gaston probably just got a nasty bump and may have forgotten himself for a while. Perhaps he has a bit of villain amnesia, but Richard White is convinced we'll see him again. But we're not totally convinced. After all, the animators did draw skulls in the pupils of his eyes, which is a pretty big indicator that he didn't survive the fall. That would make it impossible for him to be Evie's dad, and also that would make Evie and Gil half-brother and sister. Speaking of half-sisters, there's another fan theory that would turn Evie's bestie into her half-sister. This fan theory points to Hades as Evie's potential father. If he's also Mal's dad, that would make Mal and Evie half-sisters. Hades. If Hades dated both Maleficent and the Evil Queen, we doubt he would live to tell the tale, but maybe he was protected from their vengeance by being locked up. Another more feasible theory is that Evie's father is the huntsman. You know, the guy who ran Snow White out into the woods in the animated film. However, he was supposed to bring the Queen Snow White's heart in a box, and he didn't do it. We can't imagine the Evil Queen letting him live that one down. Jay's mom. Jafar is among the other evil single parents on the Isle whose past is a bit of a mystery. Besides Jasmine, he never had a love interest. He seemed only interested in power and control. On the Isle, he's obsessed with finding the lamp with a genie inside so he can make his wishes come true. But who could Jay's mom actually be? One fan had quite an interesting theory about this. When you look at Jay, you can see that he's clever, charismatic, nimble, acrobatic, and a master thief. That sounds like another character from a classic Disney movie. Aladdin and Jay are so much alike that it's spooky. In fact, Jay bears a closer resemblance to Aladdin than he does to Jafar. Additionally, Jafar talks about Jasmine on several occasions in the Descendants movie. Disney fans are like expert detectives. Many of them came to the conclusion that Jay might actually be the son of Aladdin and Jasmine, but that Jafar cast some sort of spell on them and stole Jay for himself. That way, he could have someone to do his bidding while he is stuck on the Isle. So maybe Jasmine and Aladdin are completely oblivious to the fact that they may have a son, and that he's been kidnapped and that he was stuck living out his days on the Isle of the Lost until Ben invited him and the rest of the VKs to Auradon. So will we be seeing more than one parent reunion in D3? We'll have to just wait and see.
Really, Mom?
Yes! Who would touch up my roots, fluff my fur, and scrape the bunions off my feet?
Carlos. So Carlos's mom, Cruella de Vil, is downright frightening. She's not only ruthless against people who get in her way, but she's also not exactly a friend to the canine world either. She views all living beings as there to serve her needs, including her own son. She made him sleep in her closet to protect her furs. She instilled a crippling, irrational fear of dogs in him from an early age. She makes him scrape the bunions off of her feet. Gross. She seems like the worst mother in the bunch. So who would want to marry and have a kid with this monstrous woman? Many fans have speculated that she could have hooked up with one of her henchmen, Jasper or Horace. Another fan has suggested King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph as the bad guy who stole Cruella's heart. But Carlos may never find out the truth about who his father really is. Cruella doesn't seem like the kind of mother who would sit her son down for a heart-to-heart talk. Since it must get lonely on the Isle, there's a chance that Jafar and Cruella got together at some point. That would make Carlos and Jay half-brothers. That would explain their playful chemistry. They're constantly play-fighting and wrestling around. They definitely have that brotherly energy between them. But regardless of who Carlos's dad could be, it's clear that Cruella couldn't hold down a steady relationship. That's because she views others as only there to serve her. Not to mention, she keeps talking to that stuffed dog on her shoulder, and that is just weird. Celia. We don't know much about Celia and her dad, Dr. Facilier, yet. In an interview at the Disney Fan Fest, Judah Marie shared that Celia is a daddy's girl. She also mentioned that she's all about the cash, just like her father. So it seems like they're pretty close. But who is Celia's mother? We would venture to say that Celia came to Dr. Facilier as part of a deal he made with an unsuspecting victim of his voodoo magic. He doesn't exactly deal fairly with people. So what if he sort of Rumpelstiltskined his way into having a daughter of his own? That would make it hard to pin down her real parents. They could be anybody who got tricked by the great voodoo doctor. The only ones who know for sure are his friends on the other side. Uma. Uma clearly takes after her mother Ursula. She's got the same sass, the same bad temper, and the same octopus morphing abilities. It's gotta be hard to make room for anyone else among all those tentacles. Ursula wanted to be the queen of the sea. She tried to overthrow King Triton, and wound up with a ship in the gut instead. She also went after Prince Eric as Vanessa when she stole Ariel's voice. This sea witch will stop at nothing to snag a royal man and take all of his power. So what if Prince Eric was tricked into falling for Ursula sometime after The Little Mermaid? That would make Prince Eric Uma's dad. But that doesn't quite seem to fit with Uma's personality and abilities. We think it could be King Triton. We're not sure how, but maybe Uma is the love child of King Triton and Ursula. That would make Ariel and all of her sisters related to Uma. Either King Triton doesn't know that Uma is his daughter, or he's trying to distance himself from the most terrifying sea witch in the ocean. Another possibility for Uma's father is the evil pirate who tried to destroy Peter Pan. That's right, we're talking about Captain Hook. This would make Uma and Harry half-sister and brother. That would explain their chemistry and inseparable bond. Many fans have been shipping these two pretty hard, but what if they turned out to be related? That would be totally gross. After examining all of the villain parents on the aisle, one thing seems quite apparent. None of them seem capable of sustaining a loving relationship. They're all selfish, evil, greedy, vengeful, lying, thieving, power-hungry people who shouldn't be anyone's parents. At the end of the day, that's why the VKs only have one parent each. They couldn't get along with anyone else for long enough to create a loving family. And the parents who stuck around only did so because they wanted to use their kids to do their evil bidding. It's no wonder Mal and the gang wanted to flee to Oridon. They had to escape a terrible upbringing with parents who didn't love them. They only thought of themselves. Why do you think the villain kids only have one parent? Do you agree with our theories about who their parents could be? And do you think we'll see any of the other potential parents in Descendants 3? Sound off in the comments below. Thanks for watching The Things. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest Descendants news. And don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. See you later.